Today, we need to talk about a sudden silence on the airwaves in Philadelphia. It's a silence that really marks the end of an era. We're going to be talking about the life and legacy of a true broadcast legend, Pierre Robert.
Okay, so first things first, let's just go over the essential confirmed facts as this story has been breaking.
So here's the news that's just so tough to report. The legendary Pierre Robert, a true fixture of Philadelphia radio on 93.3 WMMR, has passed away. He was discovered in his home on Wednesday.
He was 70 years old, an age that I think for so many of his listeners just feels way too soon for a voice that honestly felt timeless.
Now, what authorities have said is that no foul play is suspected, but an official cause of death hasn't been released to the public just yet.
But you know, the story of Pierre Robert, it isn't really about his passing. It's about his incredible life and a career that went on for more than 4 decades, really defining the sound of rock for generations of people in Philadelphia. His whole journey with WMMR started way back in 1981. And for over 40 years, he wasn't just on the radio, he was the radio for so many people. He became the city's beloved midday host, and his impact was officially cemented back in 2019 when he was inducted into the Philadelphia Music Alliance Walk of Fame. You just can't talk about the history of rock music in Philadelphia without talking about Pierre Robert. He didn't just play the songs, he was a core part of the city's cultural fabric. He was that voice connecting the artists to the people.
And think about this. He created these daily rituals that just became a part of his listeners' lives. Whether it was the noontime workforce blocks getting you through your workday, or his vinyl cut segments, or his unbelievable interviews and history lessons, he was just this consistent, comforting, and exciting presence every single day.
And of course, you gotta talk about his famous opening. That warm, welcoming greeting, citizens. That wasn't just some catchphrase, It was an invitation. It made you feel like you were part of this big community, this huge club of music lovers with Pierre as your guide. But his impact, it went so far beyond the broadcast booth. He took his platform, that connection he had with the city, and used it for something much, much bigger.
People who knew him and worked with him, they're all quick to point out that his generosity was just a defining part of who he was. He totally understood the power of his voice and his platform, and he used it tirelessly to support causes he believed in, right there in his own community.
And look, this wasn't just him reading a PSA and moving on. He was deeply personally involved. From hosting and supporting the AIDS Walk to championing Manna's Pie in the Sky fundraiser on the air, he was just an active and genuine force for good in Philly. His colleagues at WMMR, Preston Elliott and Steve Morrison, they shared their thoughts, and they really paint a picture of a guy whose on-air personality was 100% authentic. Preston said he'd never met a bigger music fan, and that he was just an open book about what music meant to him and how much he loved sharing it.
And Steve Morrison builds on that, emphasizing his genuine nature. He said, despite being this huge local celebrity, he was just a regular guy who legitimately cared about people. He wasn't just a legend in Philadelphia, he was seen as one of the true, legendary rock DJs in the entire country.
So as you can imagine, this loss has been felt at every single level, and it's prompted tributes that really cement his status not just as a great radio host, but as a true icon of the city.
Yeah, in an official statement, the CEO of Beasley Media Group, Caroline Beasley, she captured it perfectly. She highlighted his unwavering love for music and his deep connection with listeners as the absolute keys to why his legacy will endure.
And that's the thing, right? This connection wasn't just coming through your car radio. He was always there, a constant presence at concerts, from the smallest clubs to the biggest stadiums. He didn't hide backstage. He was out there with the fans, greeting them, as the station said, like they were his personal friends.
His passing just leaves this profound silence, and it leaves us all with a question to think about. In this modern age of automated playlists and faceless algorithms, what's the real value of a single, trusted, passionate human voice? What does a figure like Pierre Robert actually mean to the identity and soul of a city? Well, his legacy suggests the answer is everything.